The first money totals are out in the statewide races, and Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom's clocked in with $16 million in the governor's race. U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein came in with $10 million. So Melissa and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown if money was going to be a make it or break it for the candidates.
I don't know, but you know, I was talking to the woman who ran against Jerry Brown, and she had about 10 times
Meg Whitman.
as much. That's absolutely. And when I asked her that question, she said, money doesn't count.
We see that statewide and locally. Money is sort of table stakes. You need enough to sort of get in the room. But once you're in there, it really does matter who you are, what you're promising, what your endorsements are, what your history is. But so money is important to get in. But once you've got kind of a baseline, you're fine.
And with the way the media process works now, it's social media, not to pay for media. You can go on social media and reach a hell of a lot more people than you ever can with a Tom Steyer ad. Tom Steyer ad costs you money. Social media costs you almost nothing.
So in other words, Kevin DeLeon with less than $500,000 has got a chance to beating Dianne Feinstein, who has over $10 million?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. That's not his problem. His problem is Dianne Feinstein. It has a voter base that is staggering, and it has been there forever, and it seems to live as long as she is going to live. That's his problem. Well,
and also, but when we talk about is money the most important thing, and when I say table stakes, you know, you need to get into the room. I don't know that what De Leon has raised so far gets him in the room. At this point, being, you know, what is it, 477,000, something like that, about $500,000 or less, versus what she has raised and put in from her own money. I don't know that that even gets him to the table.
Well, the interesting part is that if you lend yourself $5 million day one, you are prepared to lend yourself whatever you need. And so his problem is she will finance whatever her consultants say she needs. He's not in that way.
Well, it's obvious that Dianne Feinstein has a tremendous advantage both in votes, name ID, and in money. But the governor's race is a little bit tighter. And with Gavin Newsom, questions are, is he peaking out?
Well, I mean, he's raised all this money, and yet he's not been able to get into the 30% range. He's stayed within between 23 to 28% throughout all the polls last year. So he's got a lot of money, but it doesn't seem to be translating into
And that's
numbers.
Probably one of the reasons why he was out beating for votes this week. Meanwhile, the issue of tech and real estate interests controlling San Francisco City Hall is becoming a big issue in the San Francisco's mayor's race. So Melissa and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, himself a friend to the mysterious billionaires and backroom dealers, about this shadow government of tech billionaires.
You understand, Phil, that anytime you want to identify a place you don't have for vote purposes, you castigate it. You try to make it out to be something people can't identify with. And that's what this is. Years ago, when I came along, you didn't have the billionaires. What you had was Shorenstein downtown. You had all the, you had the Business Association. You had Don Fisher. You had that whole crowd. Didn't call them billionaires, but they were the downtown group. They would endorse, and they would make sure. The newspapers were part of that. The Chronicle, the Examiner, the News Call Bulletin, whole thing was all part of it. That's what this is, and it's totally and completely a phony.
A phony? It's part of the city's history.
Yeah, you just said this is something that's been going on for time immemorial. This is obviously a real thing.
No. What I meant by it's not being, it has zero effect on whether or not you vote yes or no.
That is true. For the people who have been tied convincingly to Ron Conway, for example, and that kind of money, they do tend, like some people, I don't know.
Standing next to you?
They do tend to still get the votes. I mean, we haven't seen anyone lose because they've been tied to these kind of resources.
Ms. Cain, let me tell you, for years, Republicans went to every district in the state of California where there was a member on the Democratic side running, and they had my picture and not the candidates. And they lost every one of those races because the public still knows the difference between what you're trying to do and what you do with a candidate. The candidate shows up and denounces me too.
But for as long as I've been around San Francisco, it goes back to Art Agnos. He was the last guy that said the downtown interests, he ran against them and won. But after that, it's always been, it used to be the downtown interest, and now it's tech. But there's always that group that some is running the show, supposedly.
Well, and now that they have removed London Breed as acting mayor, it's hard to say she's got this incredibly powerful, all-knowing, all-controlling resource behind her. Now she's much more of the victim here, and seems like that kind of allegation that you're just part of this big, powerful political machine is not really going to be holding up that well.
They're going to keep at it. They are going to keep at it.
I'm not saying they're not going to keep at it. I'm just saying it's not.
We're going to be hearing more about it. There's nothing we like better in San Francisco than a backroom deal. The only thing we like better than a backroom deal is the allegation of a backroom deal, okay?